Welcome to Golden Rule Wisdom, where we explore timeless stories. Today, we delve into the powerful journey of a young blacksmith. Meet Ethan, a remarkably talented young blacksmith who possessed incredible potential but suffered from a deeply ingrained habit of severe laziness. Instead of striking the hot iron, he spent countless hours gazing at the drifting clouds, endlessly dreaming about achieving massive success. He always told himself that he would start working tomorrow, waiting for the perfect moment when he felt completely ready inside. His anvil remained cold and silent, while his brilliant ideas stayed trapped within his mind, never seeing the light of day. Ethan believed that great creations required sudden bursts of overwhelming inspiration, so he simply waited for that magical feeling to arrive. Meanwhile, the village farmers desperately needed new plows and sturdy horseshoes to prepare their vast fields for the upcoming spring harvest. Every day, hopeful villagers would visit his workshop, only to find the fires unlit and their essential tools completely unfinished again. The initial admiration they held for his natural talent slowly turned into heavy disappointment as promises were broken time and again. The entire community began to suffer because the local economy heavily relied on the crucial tools that only Ethan could forge. Even the strongest horses struggled without proper shoes, and the farmers found it incredibly difficult to plow their hardened, unyielding soil. Ethan noticed their frustrated faces, but quickly brushed off the guilt, convincing himself that his future masterpieces would eventually compensate everyone. He would sit under the giant oak tree, sketching magnificent swords and beautiful shields on scraps of parchment, doing nothing else. "And tomorrow will be the day," he whispered to the wind, letting another precious afternoon slip away into the shadows of dusk. But tomorrow always became another today, filled with the exact same empty excuses and the exact same lack of meaningful action. The situation reached a critical breaking point when the village elder, a man of great authority and stern expression, approached him. The elder looked at the cold forge and then directly into Ethan's eyes, delivering a very harsh but necessary reality check. "Your talent is absolutely meaningless if it produces nothing," the elder warned, his voice echoing through the dusty, quiet blacksmith workshop. "If you do not change your ways immediately, you will lose your respected place in this village forever," the elder declared. Ethan felt a sudden chill in his heart as the heavy weight of the elder's stern words finally crashed upon him, and he realized that his grand dreams were slowly destroying his actual reality, leaving him isolated and entirely useless to his people. That evening, as Ethan sat alone in the dark, a mysterious figure slowly walked into the dim light of his workshop. It was Samuel, a legendary old blacksmith from a distant town, renowned for crafting the most magnificent armor in the kingdom. Samuel's hands were covered in thick calluses and deep scars, telling the silent stories of thousands of hours spent striking iron. The old master looked around the messy, unused workshop and let out a soft sigh, immediately recognizing the young man's struggle. "You are waiting for the fire inside you to ignite before you light the forge," Samuel said, with a knowing smile. "But that is not how greatness is forged, my boy. You have the entirely wrong understanding of how true mastery works." Ethan listened intently as the wise old man sat down on a wooden stool, preparing to share the secrets of success. "Discipline is exactly like iron," Samuel explained, his voice steady and strong. "You must shape it carefully and consistently every day. You must hammer it even when your hands ache terribly and your mind begs you to stop and rest in comfort. Inspiration is a fleeting breeze that comes and goes, but discipline is the sturdy foundation that builds castles over long years." Ethan looked at his own soft hands, realizing he had never truly pushed himself past the point of initial physical discomfort. "How do I build this discipline?" Ethan asked, feeling overwhelmed by the massive mountain of bad habits he needed to overcome. Samuel smiled gently. "You do not forge a giant broadsword in a single strike. You start with very small, deliberate hits. Tomorrow morning, do not promise to work all day. Just promise to hold your hammer and strike the iron for 5 minutes. Even if you feel completely uninspired, just work for 5 minutes. Then you can stop if you truly wish to stop." The next morning, Ethan woke up feeling the usual heavy laziness pulling him back down toward his warm, comfortable feather bed. He almost surrendered to sleep, but he remembered Samuel's wise words and forced himself to stand up and walk outside slowly. He lit the forge, the bright flames dancing in the morning air, and placed a small piece of iron into it. When he struck the metal, it felt heavy and awkward, his mind screaming at him to drop the hammer and leave. But he kept swinging, counting the seconds in his head, entirely focused on just surviving those tiny 5 minutes of effort. When the 5 minutes ended, a strange thing happened. The iron was glowing, and Ethan suddenly felt a tiny spark inside. He decided to work for another 5 minutes and then another 10, slowly losing himself in the rhythm of the hammer. By the end of that first day, he had successfully finished 3 sturdy horseshoes, surprising himself with his own unexpected productivity. The next day was equally difficult, the temptation to quit constantly whispering in his ear, begging him to go watch clouds. But Ethan applied the same simple rule again. He committed to just 5 minutes of striking the iron, no matter what. Days turned into weeks, and the simple 5-minute rule slowly transformed into hours of intense, deeply focused, and highly productive work. He stopped waiting for the perfect mood or the ideal inspiration, learning to simply show up and do the hard work. The villagers began to notice the smoke rising from his chimney every single morning, long before the sun had fully risen. Farmers happily received their newly forged plows, marveling at the incredible craftsmanship and the sudden reliability of the young, changed blacksmith. And the village economy started to thrive again as everyone finally had the high-quality tools they desperately needed to do their jobs. Ethan's physical appearance changed as well. His muscles grew noticeably stronger, and his posture reflected a newfound sense of quiet confidence. The soft, dreamy boy was gradually being replaced by a resilient, hard-working man who deeply understood the true value of effort. Samuel visited the village a few months later, quietly observing Ethan from a distance as the young man hammered glowing steel. The old master nodded in silent approval, seeing that the lesson of the iron had truly taken root in Ethan's soul. Ethan had finally discovered that action must always come first, and only then will motivation naturally follow behind to support it. He realized that his previous laziness was simply a manifestation of fear of failure, and fear of the required effort. By breaking the massive mountain of work into tiny 5-minute pebbles, he had successfully conquered his own paralyzing internal fears completely. The village elder publicly praised Ethan during the harvest festival, honoring him as one of the most valuable members of society. Ethan stood before the cheering crowd, feeling a profound sense of genuine accomplishment that no empty daydream could ever possibly provide. He looked at his calloused hands, proudly recognizing them as the beautiful, hard-earned trophies of his consistent discipline and daily dedication. The beautiful swords and shields he once only sketched on paper were now becoming tangible realities, forged from sweat and heat. People from neighboring towns began traveling great distances just to purchase the legendary tools crafted by the disciplined young master blacksmith. Ethan never forgot Samuel's invaluable advice, always remembering to treat his own willpower exactly like a piece of raw, unshaped iron. On days when he felt sick or tired, he would simply commit to those first 5 minutes, trusting the proven process. He taught this exact same philosophy to his young apprentices, ensuring that the powerful secret of discipline would never be lost. Motivation is a beautiful but unreliable friend who only visits when the weather is perfect and the circumstances are absolutely ideal. Discipline, however, is the loyal companion who stands by your side through the darkest storms and the most difficult, exhausting trials. If you are waiting to feel completely ready before you start your journey, you will likely spend your entire life waiting. Start right now, even if you only take one tiny step forward, because that single step eventually creates an unstoppable momentum. The fire of greatness is not ignited by waiting for a spark, but by continuously striking the flint until it catches. Ethan's remarkable journey from a lazy dreamer to a disciplined master serves as a powerful reminder of what we can achieve. We all have raw talent hidden inside us, but it requires the heavy hammer of daily discipline to shape it properly. Thank you for watching this inspiring story, and we hope it encourages you to light your own forge and start working. Stay disciplined, keep forging your path, and always remember to tune in next time for more inspiring stories from Golden Rule Wisdom.